Guys, here we are today on the third green at Peel's Golf Club. We're quite close to the third green, and what I want to talk about is drills to facilitate shallowing the club shaft on the downswing. Okay, so what I mean by shallowing the club shaft is when the club gets to a parallel position, basically what happens is the club needs to be laid down by the turning of our hips. Okay, so people who generally pull on the handle of the golf club, that's where the shaft gets vertical. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to strive to get the shaft more in a horizontal position, so more laid off position like Sergio Garcia style. Okay, so if we turn our body properly, our arms don't do anything, gravity pulls our arms down, so our main goal is to try and keep our arms at almost the same level as what they were at setup. And because we're turning the hips, the facilitation of the hips will bring the arms down into play. Okay, so people who slice the golf ball have it more inclined to pull the handle down, because obviously they need to try and get their hands out of the way properly by swinging over the top. Okay, so in order for us to obviously lay this club down by feeling like the club head's actually lower than our hands, okay, so club head's lower than hand path, but what we need to do is obviously lay that club down and then allow obviously to create a lot of rotation through impact. So first drill I'm going to talk about is obviously if I drop the club there now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get my hands in a good position. Okay, so what I'm going to do from here is turn. Okay, so turn, and what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get my left palm to face to the sky. Okay, or my left hand to point to the sky, so the emblem on my glove to point to the sky. That will resemble a bowed wrist at the top of the backswing. So I get to the top of the backswing. People who struggle to shallow the club shaft have a cup position, so the left wrist is in a cup position, a weaker position. The emblem on the gloves points towards the down, so we're trying to get that to point to the sky. Okay, and then feel like our right hand is obviously lower than our left hand, and that'll be able to lay the club down. So if we pull on the handle when we've got a weak grip, so when I get top of the backswing, if we pull on the handle, that's where the shaft gets vertical, and what happens is the right hand kind of gets into play too much. So we need to feel like the shaft's laying down by keeping the emblem towards the sky, obviously in a good position, and from here we're able to rotate hard onto our left side. Okay, second drill we want to talk about is if I was skimming a stone. So it's quite a strange stone, but if I was to throw a stone, I would never throw. If I was to skim a stone, I would never throw a stone like that, because obviously you'd not get any distance. That's similar to people who swing over the top. What happens is the club digs into the ground. It depends on the ball flight. I mean, it depends on the loft of the club. It could go high, it could go low. But if you were skimming a stone, you would feel like your arm is obviously slightly lower. The right elbow was slightly lower. Okay, so from here I'm able to get the elbow back into the front of my side, so I'm able to lay the club down. Okay, so the shaft takes a lower position as opposed to pulling on it where the shaft gets too vertical. Okay, so I'll demonstrate that again. If I was to swing over the top with a stone, then it goes straight into the ground. But if I was to allow my body to turn, okay, and my arm to drop inside, allow my arm to drop inside into the slot, and then that'll be able to rotate through it properly. Okay, another drill that I've got, obviously drill 3, is put your right hand on the club, and then take your lead hand off the club, put that under your armpit, as long as they don't smell obviously, so make sure that you use deodorant before this. And then from here, what you need to do, so it basically gets the arm to lay down. So if I was to swing, pull the shaft down vertical, what will happen is my left arm or my lead arm would dislodge itself from my left elbow. Okay, so I want to feel like basically what happens is my body stays in a good position. So if I was to come down the line, what happens here, the right elbow lays down, okay, because the left hand doesn't do anything, it's just gravity. So my arms remain in the same position, and then the club can obviously lay down into a better position. Okay, so fourth drill, I want you to try and practice cat-can. I use this drill sometimes when I struggle to, obviously I'm struggling with my pitching and chipping, I get quite steep and then the ball just goes absolutely nowhere. So if I was to do it cat-candid, okay, so feel like the right hand has no feel like the left hand has no part in this action. So people who pull on the left hand steepens club shaft in relation to ball to target line. Okay, so get to the top of the backswing and then feel like the right hand is lower than the left hand. Okay, so feel that position. Okay, so feel if laying the club down, obviously stand a little bit wider, that'll help you use the ground more. So if we use the ground more, left hip can got more a chance of turning out the way. Okay, if we stand too close to it, then we can't use the ground as much, and that's where the shaft gets quite vertical because we don't rotate our lower body enough. So obviously try and do that cat-candid. that'll be able to lay the shaft down, okay? And then from here, if you lay the shaft down, then what happens is this shaft gets in a better position and we're able to hit the ball from the inside as opposed to Steve. We can create a lot more club head speed and the strike will be slightly more out the middle of the club, and that obviously runs in tandem with distance. So 4 drills to work on, obviously trying to get this drill to work on, get this the Bridgestone logo pointing to the sky, try and keep that in that position all the way through the swing. Also, if you're skimming a stone, you would never skim the stone by pulling over the top, would you? So try and feel like you're skimming a stone from the inside, okay? So feel like my shoulder stays quite low, but not too low, because if I was to do that too low, then that's where I'd black out and obviously I'd hit it fat even more. So feel like let gravity drop your hands, okay? So feel that into that position. Obviously the other drill is trying to focus on getting the lead arm underneath your armpit and feel that shaft laying down. And the other thing is cat handler, okay? So if you find my tips helpful, subscribe to my channel at JML Golf. It's free subscription, and for weekly content obviously as well, and any more tips you want me to discuss on any topics, comment below and I'll get back to you as soon as possible.